And we're back! I'm just gonna, again, I say this at the beginning of every episode, because I'm repetitive, but I just have to make my link. I don't think I'm gonna make it on Twitter. I don't know, it's just kind of a pain in the butt to make 2 links. I mean, it's not like, this is not something that the mainstream audience is going to care about. This is more of something that people who are a little bit more curious than average or artists are going to watch. So I don't feel like I need to, I don't know if I need to advertise this everywhere. It's kind of like a niche art thing. So let's see, I gotta make my Facebook link. Do that really quick. Hopefully I don't waste too much time. Oh, come on, Dan. Motor skills. Motor skills. And, alright, so there's my link. So let's see, my dashboard is go. And then now it's time for episode 10. This is hopefully the last episode for this one shot of the 2 kids walking into the diner and looking over and seeing something. So, it's episode 10, entitled, I Like Coloring! Roll the credits, or the intro.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Yay!
Okay.
Take that, Mr. Gorbachev. I like starting my episode off with the most relevant of political messages. The most current. Alright, get out of here. With your corny jokes, Dan. Alright, so I really have to do this one last frame, and then I get to color. Because I like coloring. Alright, let's go. Let's make it black. Boom. Ba-da-dum. 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 I don't know. Boom. Da-da-dum. Da-da-dum. Ba-dum. 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 Boom. Alright, that's gotta be annoying. Sorry. I'm gonna make this previous frame, or this frame, a little bit closer to the past than the future because I don't know, my gut's telling me to do it. So this foot, I'm gonna make it a little bit, like a few centimeters off the ground. As long as the heel is firmly planted, this foot can be it can move. Because obviously you can't lift your foot off the earth if there's nothing pushing against the earth. I remember when I was a little kid, I remember like very early on in my life, like when I was in Ohio, and I was like 3 years old, possibly younger, and I remember sitting in the front yard of my house, and I was thinking, like, what if I held my hand just above the ground, and then I took one foot and I stepped into my hand, and then what if I took my other hand and put it a little bit higher, and with the other foot I stepped into that hand, and I was like formulating this theory, like, what if I just held my own feet and made stairs with my hands and just stepped into my hands? Would I be able to step up into the air and just like climb up into the sky? And I was just like, I was only like 2 or 3, but I remember just sitting there and formulating like how reality works. And I remember I was having trouble getting that to work, and I wasn't entirely sure, and I was like, I went up to my dad and I was asking, like, why can't I just step into my hand and like walk up into the sky by making stairs with my hand, like stepping off of one hand and then making my hand in the position of a higher step and then stepping onto that hand. And then my dad was, I feel like he was just like, yeah, that's, gravity is not going to care that you imagine stairs and with your hands, like, you're going to fall back to the earth. But that's like one of my earliest memories. It was just like theorizing about how I could defy the laws of reality. And that's why I'm the weirdo that I am today. So let's see. But yeah, I have all kinds of weird memories from when I was a kid. I remember one time I was playing with this little girl who lived on the corner, and her name was Allison. And I don't remember exactly what we were playing. I think she was like, she wanted to play some kind of weird Little House on the Prairie thing that I didn't really care too much about it, but none of my male friends were around, so I was just like, alright, I'll do this. And this kid, Brian Covey, came up to me, and he grabbed me and he just like pulled me along the side of her house, and he had like one of those switchblade combs. It was like a switchblade, but when you hit the button, a knife doesn't come out, a comb comes out. And I was only like 3 years old, because we moved when I was like 4. And so he pushed me up against the wall and held this thing to my throat, and he was like, I got a switchblade, I'm gonna cut your throat. And he was like, just like, he wasn't, it's not like he was 3 too. He must have been like 10. So this 10-year-old kid comes up to a 3-year-old kid with a switchblade comb and holds it to his throat and is like, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to cut your throat. And he was just telling me that my life was gonna end. And then like, I was pretty scared. I was just like, this is as far as I'm going to live, this is as long as I'm gonna be alive. And I was just like panicking, and I was scared. And luckily this little girl, Allison, she was like, oh shit's going down, and she just ran away and like got her father. And then this kid, and like I'm standing on there on the side of this house with this kid with this switchblade comb. I didn't know, I was 3, I didn't know what a switchblade was or a switchblade comb was. I just heard, I'm going to cut your throat and you're gonna die. And that's all I heard, and that's all I knew, and that was reality to me at that time. And so luckily, after this guy was like talking all this shit to me, this little girl, Allison's father, just shows up, and he's like, just starts yelling at the kid and telling him to get lost and how he should know better and whatnot. And the kid's like, it's a comb, it's just a switchblade comb. And he's just like this cunty little brat that kids often are when they're just out in the wild and they're just doing their own bidding and just, being assholes. But again, I was 3. I didn't know, maybe 4 at most, and I didn't know the difference between a switchblade comb. I just heard death, and I don't know. I've got all kinds of weird memories from when I was really young. I remember like building giant snowmen in the front yard, and I was just, and like that was another thing. I guess I feel like maybe I thought about gravity a lot. Like, look, how big can you make a snowman? Can you make a snowman that's infinitely tall? But of course, I didn't really consider the fact that like snow can only hold so much weight on top of it, and it would just crumble. But I remember thinking, like, being fascinated with the idea of making a giant snowman. And I remember this kid, Joey Brown, like my brother is 2 years older than me, and my brother was like 6, maybe 5 at the time, and this other kid, Joey Brown, was like, must have been like 10, and he would always like beat up my brother. Like, he just grabbed my brother and just start punching him, and my brother was like, I don't know, my brother always seemed to have like a superhuman tolerance of pain. Like, this kid that was like 4 or 5 years old was just punching the shit out of him on the ground, and my brother would just like laugh. Like, he always just seemed like he didn't feel pain. And I don't know, like, one of the earliest memories was this 10-year-old kid beating up my 6-year-old brother, and I was only younger, so like I didn't really have I gotta start working on this animation. But I didn't really have a realistic idea of how to deal with the situation. So me and my friend Justin Nolan, we got like our plastic swords, and we were like, let's go rescue my brother. And like, we'd get our plastic swords and we'd run over there like we were gonna save him. And this kid Joey Brown was just like, you do, you die. And we like, that was too much for us, and we just ran away. We were like, oh, you're on your own, Jeff. Because, I don't know, that was just too intimidating for us. I don't know, but that kid was, even though he was only 10 himself, and he should have known better, like, it's just weird. What am I doing here? Alright, I think I can color this in. I'm trying to make this, like, this artful, like, Bob Ross style, like, pleasant. Oh, the happy little tree. Like, animation. Like, here's a nice little frame of... Here's a happy little in-between frame that lives over here. Oh, here's a time when I almost got... Like, I had my life threatened when I was 2 years old. It just goes from, like, happy to just darkness. But I don't know. I have trouble thinking of things to say. So, man, I guess that was something. That was interesting. I remember being a little kid and just, like, seeing a caterpillar walking along the street, and I was just like, wow. I was just amazed by this thing. And I remember when I was much older than that, I was like, how come I never see giant caterpillars like I used to see? And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. The reason these caterpillars were so big was because I was so small. And caterpillars never get as big as I perceived them to be. It's just that I got bigger and caterpillars got smaller. But I remember just thinking, like, I just see a caterpillar that looked like it was the size of a cigar. And I was like, whoa, there's a giant looking caterpillar. But that's just the way I perceived it because I was so small. But I feel like a lot of people don't remember that early stage of life. And sometimes I like, if I talk to people, I'm like, wow, you remember that? You remember being 3? And I remember a lot of stuff. I remember that same Joey Brown kid. Like, we found a bird that had fallen out of its nest. And he was like telling me, pick up that bird. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to pick up the bird. And I was holding this little baby bird in my hand. And I remember my father he must have been watching us out the window, because this Joey Brown kid, he was a troublemaker, and I remember he was like peering in through the window one time. Like my mom saw him, I guess she was about to change clothes or something, and she saw him being like a peeping Tom and just trying to get like a view of my mother naked. And so I guess my father, maybe he was like observing how this punk Joey Brown kid was gonna interact with his children. So he told me to pick up this bird, and then and so I picked it up, and part of it was because I was afraid to not do what a big giant kid like that told me to do, and part of it was like that I was fascinated by this baby bird. And then I hear my father's voice saying, "Put that down, put that down," and then and so I put it down, and then like a couple like a I don't know, a few moments passed by, and I guess this kid Joey Brown was like, thought that my father had stopped watching us, so he was like, "All right, pick up this bird again, pick it up." And so I picked up the bird, and then again I hear my father say, "Put that bird down, and if you can't not listen to what these kids are saying to you and doing what they tell you to do, then you're not allowed to play with them anymore." And I was just a little kid, and I don't know, I guess my father disappeared again, and again the guy was like, the kid Joey Brown was like, "Pick up this bird," and so I did it again, and then finally my father was like, "All right, you come inside, you can't play with these kids anymore, because you're too, you can't just not do what they told you to do." And I remember this kid was like, I don't know why, but he hated my father. Maybe because my father yelled at him because he was a peeping Tom weirdo. And this kid hated my father. And I remember one time he came up to my brother and he was like, "Okay, we're going to put nails in your driveway so that when your father comes out, like the nails pop his tires." And I was watching them do this, and I was like, "What? I can't believe this is happening. My brother is putting nails in the driveway to pop my father's tires." And I think my brother did it because he was scared of this kid. Like, this kid would always he was like 4 or 5 years older, and he'd just go up and punch my brother and beat him up. So my brother was doing what he was just a little kid. And so I remember, like, they put the nails in the driveway and covered them up with this like dried dirt, and then like after that happened, like we kind of went about our day, and then like later on in the day I remembered, and I told my father that this is what Joey Brown was up to, and I was like, I just felt like I did something, like I helped the family somehow. I remember one time I was thinking about Joey Brown and like just remembering stuff that happened when I was a little kid in Ohio, and I looked the guy up on Facebook, and he was just like an utter shithead, even as an adult. just a shithead asshole. His Facebook page was all about assault rifles and oh god. Alright, why don't I color these lines all in black before I continue? But yeah, I remember a lot when I was a little kid. Hopefully the stories were sort of entertaining. I know this probably gets boring at times, but I don't know. guess I have a lot more memories of Ohio, but most of them are just like, they're not as interesting, I guess. Like, I remember seeing a locust for the first time on the sidewalk, and it was just like scary to me for some reason. Like, it was just sitting on the sidewalk, and I think it might have been like damaged or something, or injured, and I'd get too close, like I was gonna pick it up, and it would just start buzzing, and it, like, I don't know, that was intimidating when you're a little kid. Or at least when I was a little kid. Alright, so let's see. Where did I leave off? I remember one time, like, we used to go to the Birchwood Pool in Kettering, Ohio. And one time we were with my mother driving to the pool, because that's what we did, like, during the day. We just hang out at the pool, the community pool. And there was this old lady walking along the road, and she flagged my mother down, and my mother stopped and rolled down the window to talk to her, and the old lady was like, "I'm escaping from my mother-in-law. I need a ride. I need to escape. I need to get out of here." And that was just bizarre, because, like, an old lady just trying to escape from her mother-in-law. Maybe I was a little kid, so maybe she seemed older than she was, but, like, what was this mother-in-law doing to her that she needed to escape from? And I just remember my mother was like, no, you're not getting into my car. You're weird. And so we just kind of drove on down the road and went about our business at the pool. I remember one time, like, we'd go to McDonald's, and you could have, like, a Happy Meal, and you get a little prize in the Happy Meal, and I had this green, I believe it was a Stegosaurus, and my brother had a red dinosaur that might have been a Triceratops. And we were at the pool, and I was, like, too little to be anywhere near the deep end, but I remember, like, not, like, I remember before I could understand language, like, there were times when, like, I was at my grandparents' house, and I remember Easter, and I remember, like years later, younger cousins would hide Easter baskets in rooms and have them hunt for the Easter baskets. But I remember that happening for me, and I remember people speaking language at me and trying to encourage me to do something, but I was just, like, not able to determine what the language meant or what they wanted from me. And later I realized it was that they were trying to get me to find an Easter basket, but I didn't know what the fuck Easter was. I didn't know what an Easter basket was. But I remember, like, being a little kid and being at that pool and just kind of, like, going about my business, and I had this little dinosaur, and I don't know why I was so close to the deep end, but I remember, I think I threw my dinosaur into the water, and I don't know, I guess I immediately regretted doing that, so I jumped into the water to get the dinosaur, and started drowning because I didn't know how to swim. And then the next thing I knew, like, the lifeguard, who was one of my mother's friends named Johnny Shoemaker, jumped in the water and, like, saved me from drowning. I don't know, I guess those are the most interesting things I can remember about being a really little kid. I remember getting, like, I remember on Christmas, my father bought us some Star Wars toys and G.I. Joe toys, and I remember my father was just putting together the Millennium Falcon on Christmas morning, and it was just, like, putting all the stickers and stuff on it. Oh, it was kind of cool. I don't know, I guess the more I think about it, the more memories I can recall, but I don't know if they're even worth telling. I feel like the only memories that people would want to hear are like the dramatic ones, where it's like, oh, this is a life and death situation, or I don't know if people really care about like the mundane memories that I have. Like, I remember being at the playground and doing stuff, but nothing really eventful happened. Like, I just remember the places. Like, I remember the playground. I remember a lot of stupid little memories. Like, I remember there was like I think my father wasn't really like a proponent of letting us watch television, but I feel like at one time we had the Disney Channel or something on TV, and I remember like him telling me I was staying up too late and I couldn't watch it, and it's not really an important memory, but it's just like a dumb thing that is inconsequential that I remember for some reason. I remember we had a TV, and underneath the TV we had like a little coffee table with a cabinet built into it, and I remember I would always open the doors of the cabinet and climb inside and hide there. And I remember one time a babysitter was over, and I opened up the cabinet and I hid inside. I think I hid inside because I used to climb up on the mantelpiece like Spider-Man, and I did that all the time, and my parents were just like, okay, he climbs up on the mantelpiece sometimes, he can climb a bit. But the babysitter was like, no, you can't do that, not while I'm here. I don't want you to get hurt on my watch. So she didn't let me do it, and I feel like I kind of felt resentful that she wasn't letting me do the thing that I do all the time. So I just opened up the cabinet doors in the coffee table, and I hid there. And then I was just listening, and the babysitter was just becoming alarmed that I had suddenly disappeared. Like, she's babysitting, and then this 3-year-old kid that she's responsible for just poof, disappeared. And I remember my brother was just leading her around the house like, I wonder where we could look for him. And I kind of feel like he knew where I was because he was aware of my habits. He lived with me. But I wonder if he was just like he was maybe taking some enjoyment out of the fact that she didn't know where we were and didn't really sell me out right away. Like, he just kind of led her around the house suggesting places to look, and I was sitting there and hiding in the cabinet the whole time. And eventually he led her to me. I forgot to draw the pockets on this jacket. Anyway, hopefully this was somewhat interesting. Just goofy little stories that no one cares about. I don't know, I'm just trying to fill time. Which I probably don't really even need to do. Alright, so let's see. What am I doing here? Hitting the wrong button, first of all. I'm animating back in time. Huh. I feel like I said when I was telling one of those stories, I feel like I said the name of the wrong kid. I think I said Brian Covey was the kid that pulled the switchblade comb, but it was not Brian Covey, it was Michael Wells. But he was just a kid. I mean, even though he was a sociopath shithead kid, hopefully he turned into a better person as an adult. But he was a fucked up kid. I wonder if those kids were abused. Like, how could a kid think of doing something like that to another kid? Some adult must have done something really horrible to them. Or their parents must have been really just garbage people. How does a kid develop that kind of evil? How does a kid think to be that evil without the influence of an evil adult? I don't know, maybe there's just some evil people out there. Alright, I think we're almost done coloring this in. I like how it's just kind of amusing that the title of this live stream was "I like coloring." Like I'm just some kind of an adult moron who likes coloring, and I just talk about the darkest parts of when I was a little kid. I was like, the title is just so happy-go-lucky and innocent. And I was like, okay, now for darkness. I'm stupid. Now, the more I think about, like, living in Ohio, the more stories I think of, and none of them are really even worth telling, but it's like you go down a rabbit hole of remembering stuff that happened when you were a little kid. Like the Brian Covey kid was not the kid that bullied me. He was just a friend of my brother's, and he lived across the street, and I remember his father grew peanuts in their garden, and I always thought that was interesting that he grew peanuts. And I remember one time he was like pouring cement for their swing set, and I was like, wow, this is a grown man, and he's like, he knows things about the world. He knows about like cement and setting up a swing set, and I just remember being quite impressed by that. But I don't know. Most of the memories I have are just not even worth telling. I think I just finished this. What does that say? Oh, mask. Yeah. Alright, so now I guess I'll do the masking of the, let's delete this. What's this thing? Oh, my guide images are over here on this layer. I can delete these now. Mask. I can select this and delete it. I'll delete that too. So now I guess I'll talk about the mask layer. How much time do I have on this? 36 minutes.
Yeah, girl, get it. Work it.
Yeah, how does this work in the overall scheme of things?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, what was... How did this become black? Oh, maybe I, when I was changing the lines of the rest of them, I accidentally switched them to black. This is something Bugs Bunny used to do when he was surprised. They draw little white lines around his head. And I kind of got that from Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Yeah, girl. Yeah, girl.
But
Yeah, girl, get it. Work it, girl, yeah.
let's move the sound effect
Yeah.
a little bit forward on the timeline.
Yeah.
Because if this character has his mouth open like that and it starts saying, yeah, girl, and his mouth isn't matching what he's saying, it's gonna look stupid. It's gonna, like, have this weird,
Yeah, girl, get it. Work it, girl, yeah, bitch, work it.
inconsistency. Alright, so now I'm gonna do the masking of the, diner booth. So basically, I'm going to draw all the parts of this frame that can be seen, and anything outside of it are going to be hidden. So, how do I do this? Just get to the right spot in my timeline. So, mask. Okay. So, where can these characters be seen? They can be seen. I'll do this doorway first, just to help me stay organized. So I'm going to do this in red. So I'm drawing everything, every area where they can be seen. So I'm going to draw, they can be seen through this doorway. So I'm going to color this in red. Maybe this is going to be a little bit different in other animation programs, but maybe it's a technique that is still used, so I'll just kind of go over it. Actually, I don't even have to draw that part. I'm trying to think if there are any other creepy stories I can tell about Ohio. Now that I already kind of brought it up. I guess that's all the weird stuff that I can think of, at least in that part of my life. I'm kind of confused at what I'm looking at here. I think I messed something up completely. This looks like the crossbar on this door, so I basically just made them walk through the door. So Maybe I'll just erase that. I wish I'd noticed that before. Animating with a drunken idiot. Alright, so I can see the back of this booth here. So let's see. Huh. Okay, I was a little confused for a second. And I can see let's just take a look at the movement again, just to make sure I have my boundaries of what I can see and what I can't see.
Yeah, girl.
Huh. So his hand comes in front of the mask at a certain point. So maybe I will make the mask disappear before this hand comes in front of the booth. Because I want this booth to cover up the characters as they're walking by, but then I don't want them to cover up these fingers when his hand moves in front of it, so maybe I'll make the mask disappear. I'll make the mask, maybe I'll make it last up until this frame, so it'll disappear after that, and then his hand can freely move in front of that.
Yeah.
Should I animate this door closing? I mean, this happened so quickly, I wonder if anybody's even gonna notice it.
Yeah, girl.
Maybe if I could probably deal with that in, like, very few frames. It might not be a big deal to just animate the door closing. Alright, let's do this mask thing for now. So, alright, I can see, I'll just continue the line down here. I can see all this stuff. Hook it up around here, and then I'll just color this all red. Okay, so now I need to do I don't think I need to do this whole window, but I can do, like, the portion that you can see people through. So maybe I'll make a little area of red in here. And then I gotta color in this window. So let's see. Alright, so this is the booth cushion. I probably don't need to be as detailed with this top part, because no, his head never even comes anywhere close, but I don't know, I'm just an retentive person who just like gets all OCD about, I don't know, I got problems. As you can tell by all the stories I just told. Come on, Dan. You don't need to be this. There we go. Alright, so I masked this window and this little area here. So now I'm gonna do, how do I do this again? How do I do this? I forget. Mask, here we go. I right click it. So now I should be able to, okay. So now that all the places that were visible, I covered them up. And now the characters are covered up by the booth back. And they're just walking in and it looks kind of normal. What's this little, oh, there's something on this, some dirt on my screen that made it look like there was something there. Alright, so let's see. Zoom in a little bit and test it.
Yeah, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, girl, get it. Work it. Yeah, girl, get it.
Oh yeah. How much time do I have in this episode? About 12 minutes. Sorry, I'm burping a lot. I just drank a soda. Don't normally like to drink soda, but... Alright, so I think I'm done with this scene. Can I do it? Maybe I'll just, I'll remove this, bar in the window. So they're not walking through. They're not walking through walls like a ghost. I mean, no, probably nobody's gonna be noticing that, but I don't know. It's gonna bother me. So like maybe the door was just propped open. Should I animate a closing door?
Yeah.
Huh. I got 12 minutes. Let's see. Save it before I start ruining stuff. I'm gonna need to redo the mask around that door though. So let's see, I would need to draw a frame. How should I do this? Interior diner, I'm gonna make this, hide that for a second. So if I go back to this, Let's delete all. How do I do this? Actually, maybe I should make this a little bit darker. Where's my palette? Where's my mixer? I hate how things disappear sometimes. Panels, mixer. You probably can't even see this because I don't know. For some reason, the OBS Studio program doesn't pick up some of these floating windows. You know what? I kind of want this to extend down to the bottom of the booth. Oh, wrong color. I didn't need to draw that line. Maybe I'll just... Nobody's gonna notice these little things, but again, I'm an obsessive compulsive weirdo. Maybe I'll just make it to about that. So this will be the main background, which means I need to do... Oh, I guess I don't really need to do too much to the mask. I will just color that. That was actually much easier than I thought it was going to be. Wait a minute, what just happened? Why did these things turn red? I don't know what the hell that was, but let's just lock that. Alright, so I got that. I think this mask is done. So let's see, they're walking in through there. So now, somewhere in here. Alright, so now I need to delete. Let's put this up here. I can make that visible again. So now I need to oh, I put that on the mask layer. That's why you can't see it. So now I need to delete everything pretty much around this door. So let's just take a slice of the background like that. Delete. Delete. Alright, so this... so now I need to delete this booth. Everything outside of the booth. No. Alright, so maybe, alright, so this is the door closed. Open, closed, open, closed. So, where do they... make the closed door way back here in the timeline? So now I just need to do a few frames here. How about I make this an object? Just so it's a little bit, or a graphic rather, so just so it's a little bit more manageable. Door, diner, door, closing. Oh, I got a minute left. I guess it doesn't need to be precise. Why is it this big? There must be like a microscopic little thing that I forgot to delete. Let's get out of here. Actually, I don't need to. I think I see something right there that needs to be erased. So there must be something. $215, $208, $85. Must have been some notes that I okay, good. Just gonna save that. Probably don't need much more than 2 frames to get this done. So let's say okay. Let's color that in. You know what? Let's use this color here and paint this blind black. I think we can do that. And let's make a black coloration with a alpha. Alpha is how visible it is. Like if it's 100%, it's completely visible. It's completely opaque. But if it's a really low number, it's just barely visible. So I'm going to make a black coloration with an alpha value of 10. And I'm just going to color in this glass area. I feel like this should be a little bit straighter. What does this look like? Should I do one more? So onion skin, where are you? I don't even think I need to draw any glass for this one. I'm just going to color that little area. Diner door. That's all you need.
Yeah.
I didn't even pay attention to the door. Oh well. Alright, I think, what time is it? I'm at 1:04. Should I do another episode? I'm going to end this one, and if I think of doing something really quick that I can start, I'll do that, but if I don't, good night, everybody. So, later. Thanks for watching, everyone.